tuned in to the American Cream. The American Cream. The American Cream. A show for people seeking truth about money and how to really achieve the American dream with cream. During the next hour, you're invited to learn how credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset are essential to helping you achieve the American dream. American dream. American dream. Please join your host, Hyacinth Henderson, for today's episode.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I am Hyacinth Henderson. You are tuned in to the American Cream radio show. And today is actually yet again Wednesday, but by the time you hear this, it will be Saturday, November 2nd, I believe. And if you're listening to this, if you're hearing the sound of my voice, congratulations. You made it another day in this number, and that means you still have purpose and you're supposed to be here. So thank you so much for tuning in. You're listening to 1210 The Man. For those of you who have been listening to me week after week, I think this is maybe my third or fourth week. Thank you so much. I appreciate your continuous support. For those friends who are listening on YouTube or Facebook or any other platform, I appreciate your support as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and share these videos. And for those of you who are listening to me live on Saturday morning at 6 a.m., kudos to you. Thank you for not only waking up, but waking up and tuning in so that we can help you with financial education. For those of you who are new, maybe today is just your first day listening to me and you're like, who is this lady on The Man? Let me give you a little backstory. You're listening to the American Cream radio show, and I am your host, Hyacinth Henderson. Been in the financial game for 17 long years. I'm a licensed stockbroker. I'm a registered investment advisor, also an annuity and insurance broker, an author. I'm the managing director of our full service financial planning firm, the Henderson Financial Group, based out of Miami Lakes, Florida. So I don't want you to think that just as you may have rolled over and tuned into 1210 The Man, I didn't just roll over and start talking about money, right? So I've been doing this for 17 years. So thank you so much for being here. The American Cream is dedicated, designed with you in mind. The focus and the goal of the American Cream is to show you, guide you, and teach you how to redefine the American dream on your terms with cream. And everybody likes cream, right? It's a little bit sweet. It's rich. It's rich and sweet and frothy. It depends on what type of cream you have, but most people like cream. And so on the American Cream, I want you to understand that cream is an acronym. It stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. And so that's what I am dedicated to doing, not only today, but each and every day. I understand wholeheartedly that this is a part of my life's mission and purpose. Is not something that I knew from a little girl that I wanted to be in the financial planning industry. Absolutely not. But yet here we are. So on today's show, we are going to be discussing, oftentimes you hear me say that the American dream is something that was sold or told to you and you didn't have the opportunity to define it on your terms. And we're going to get into that today. I want to discuss exactly what that means and what I mean by that, because I believe that most people, we are just going. We're so busy, attempting to just live and survive and not really taking a step back to look at the bigger picture. We're like, when you're up close and personal into something, you have like tunnel vision and your head is down. You sometimes don't pay attention to the surroundings and all the moving pieces and parts that are meant and designed to very well help you while you're on your journey, but your head is so down because you're so focused on, your feet moving forward that you miss out on all the opportunities and scenery and things like that to help you. So when I say that the dream has been sold or told to us, we don't really know what that is. And so we're going to recap. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process where I get you to think. So the purpose of my show, today's show and any other show, is to get you to think. I want you to use your mind. The M in cream stands for mindset. And what I am committed to doing is pushing those buttons, like slapping you on the back of the head from time to time and getting you to like perk up and say, hey, let me think about that. Okay. So as we get ready to roll into November, it is actually October 30th. Tomorrow's Halloween. Again, when you listen to this on Saturday, we will be in November. That means, when you get into November, you're already into the next year, right? So although we're in November 2019, technically we are absolutely like into 2020 because November, December just kind of fly by so quickly. So when you think about it, I want you to ask yourself, are you like taking control of your life during these next 2 months? Or will you be just going with the flow, doing what's natural? And what that means is, okay, we just celebrated Halloween. You got the candy, you did the trick or treating, blah, blah, blah. Now what's next? The American dream, the way that we have been raised, our limiting beliefs tells us that after Halloween, we then start preparing for what? Thanksgiving. And after Thanksgiving, or maybe in between the preparing for Thanksgiving, you also start preparing for Christmas. As you prepare for these holidays that are coming up, I want you to ask yourself, what do these events, what do these traditions, what type of impact do they have on your financial life? Not only your financial life today, right? But your financial future tomorrow. Like, I really want you to hone in and think about that, because I understand that most people don't realize, right, the amount of money that it takes you to prepare some of these things, like whether it's Thanksgiving dinner, maybe you're hosting the entire Thanksgiving dinner, or, one of the ones that I hear a lot is the holidays. I mean, I went to my mailbox the other day, maybe 2 days ago, and there was a catalog from one store with all the Christmas toys and, presents and things like that. And it's still October. And they're already sending that out. So they're already starting the programming and the conditioning to get you ready to do what? Spend your money. To spend your money, spend it fast, and to make you feel like you must spend it. So I want you, as you start to prepare, as we move into these next 2 months of the year, and I know a lot of people are like, well, it's not just the end of the year, it's the end of a decade. Right, bruh, it is. It's the end of a decade, but it's not the first. Like, if you're over 10, it's not the first time you experienced the end of a decade. And what that means to you is different for everybody. Instead of focusing on the fact that it's the end of a decade, I would ask you to focus on what you are consistently doing today that is going to have an effect on your tomorrow, regardless of the fact of tomorrow is the end of the decade or a century, whatever the case may be. Just like keep doing it. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. So now as we go back to thinking about the fact that November and December are here, what's your budget? What have you taken the time to sit down and say, you know what? I know that these are traditions and this is the way that they've said that it must go. I must go out and spend lots of money and do lots of cooking and host on Thanksgiving. I must go out and buy all these gifts and then gift wrap them for people only so that they can spend 2.5 seconds ripping the gift wrap off and then putting the gift in the corner and probably never touching it again for a couple months. Like, tradition tells you that you have to do these things, but have you thought about what it does to your finances? What it does to your finances, what it does to your mentals? Because, believe it or not, there are a lot of people who feel pressured into participating in traditions, not because it's their tradition, not because they like it so much, but because that's the way the family says that it must go. That reminds me, I remember it's 2019, so maybe like 3 years ago. I remember my family has Christmas breakfast. My parents, they have Christmas breakfast every year. And this has been something that has been going on since I was like a kid, like 8, 9 years old. We always did Christmas breakfast, and we would rotate at someone's house every year. And, everyone would bring in food, would make it a big potluck style, and you would bring gifts mainly for the children. So, instead of buying gifts for everybody, every family, every aunt bought a gift for every child in the family. And so what happens was, after we ate breakfast, then the children would stand by the Christmas tree and call out the gifts, the names on the gifts, and disperse the gifts, and everybody would unwrap the gifts and blah, 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 and blah. Okay, so this is a tradition. It's been going on. I'm 38 now. So at least for 30 years. This is a long time. This isn't something that just started yesterday. Well, about 3 years ago, it was a sunny Christmas in South Florida, and I decided that I was not going to Christmas breakfast. And I had decided this in advance. I don't want you all to think that I just rolled over one day and was like, the morning of, and was like, I'm not going to Christmas breakfast. No, this is something this was like a come to Jesus moment. This was a moment that for years I had been going to Christmas breakfast, and just not really wanting to be there. And I didn't want to be there. It had nothing to do with my family. I love them. They're great people. But it was just no longer my thing. And on top of that, I never, ever, ever, ever purchased the gifts. Like when I got of age that I needed to start buying gifts for everyone else, I would have my mom go buy the gifts. She would pick out whatever I don't know. I didn't even know what people got until they unwrapped the gifts. So she would go purchase the gifts. She would wrap the gifts and then I would just pay her. And she's like, okay, I got this, this, and this, and this, everybody on the list. And this is a total. Perfect. And she's a bargain shopper. Like she's a bargain shopper. She'll go to Dillard's or Macy's or one of these, fancy department stores. And by the time she's done, on the clearance with the pink tag and the coupon and this, I mean, she paid little or nothing for these quality items. And I just don't have the time or the desire to do that. But she loves it. She's a stay-at-home mom. So anyway, I'm sharing that to tell you that I have been so far removed from that tradition. I wasn't even going out to purchase the gifts for these people. I wasn't purchasing them. I wasn't wrapping them. I was just like, no, I would just show up and say, oh, you like that? Oh, yes. Give me a hug. I'm glad you like it. And so as I continued my journey, right, because life is about journeying, the person that you are today should be very different from the person that you were last year. And I know that society will have you to think that you shouldn't change. Don't change. If you change, it's bad. But the truth of the matter is, it's about evolution. You should consistently and constantly be seeking to change and grow. So as a part of my journey, I was just over it. I'm like, you know what? Do I believe the story of Christmas? No, but that's a story for a different day. I don't enjoy the shopping part. I just don't enjoy this. And if Christmas and the holidays are about cheer and being happy, then I should be happy. I should be happy, don't you think? Boom. So when I made that decision, what I did was I rented a fantastic rooftop suite on Miami Beach, at a hotel in Miami Beach. It was like the entire floor. It was beautiful. And me and my children and a friend of mine from New York, we checked into this place on Christmas morning. We were on the beach in a cabana. We were doing the things that we wanted to do on Christmas Day. And of course, my father called and he's like, hey, you're not coming to Christmas breakfast this year? No, I'm not coming to Christmas breakfast this year. And I'm sharing this story to tell you that it's okay to break tradition. It is okay to break tradition. Not only did I not do something that I didn't no longer want to do, something that I didn't believe in, but I also saved myself some money that year. And I have not been to Christmas breakfast since. And I think that, like I said, I think that was about 3 years ago, maybe even longer, maybe 4 years ago. But I feel such a relief that I don't have to get into the mad rush of going out and buying gifts and wrapping the gifts. Oh my God, that's a horse of a different color, the gift wrapping part, that I don't have to do those things. And I'm sharing this because I want you to think about how your holiday traditions show up and how you're doing things that you don't want to do. How does that work? And then ask yourself, why are you still doing the things that you don't want to do? The same thing with Thanksgiving. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Everyone knows that I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm not cooking nothing for Thanksgiving. I'm not going in the grocery store for Thanksgiving. For Thanksgiving, you know what I'm having? Fresh baked chocolate chip cookies and champagne in my PJs in my bedroom. That is the perfect day at home for me. And I'm fine with that. Did my family members give me some pushback? Do they still have snide remarks that they make? Absolutely. Do I care though? No. Is my grocery bill still intact? My grocery budget? Absolutely. Is my December budget thrown out of whack because I have to impress people? Because I have to follow a tradition? No. Do I care about it? No. And I understand that it takes some time for you to get there, but I'm sharing this because I know that there is someone out there who's listening to this and they're like, you know what, Hyacinth, you're right. I've been feeling like that as well, but I just didn't want to get any pushback. I've been feeling like, why do I have to max out my credit cards? Why do I have to go and deal with the hustle and bustle of angry shoppers and Black Friday and all this stuff just to buy gifts? Get this. If you have children, if you're gifting something for a child, I can guarantee you can bet your funky wad tootsie that after you buy that gift on December 24th, 6 months later, the kid will not know where the gift is. And 6 months is me being generous. Really, I give you 30 days. like 30 to 60 days, and they don't know where the gift is. Meanwhile, you have charged this gift on your credit card. You felt the pressure of going out, having to buy the gift because you, of course, needed to take photos. You needed to post them on the internet and let everybody know that you were mom or dad of the year for Christmas. And here it is, like a couple months later, the kid doesn't even know where the gift is, but you're still paying for it on your credit card because you know what? You didn't have the cash to do it. So you charged it up on your credit card and you're paying that high amount of compounding interest. And compounding interest is interest on top of interest. So by the time you get finished paying for this toy or this gift or whatever it is, you would have paid for it sometimes 3, 4, 10 times over due to the fact of the compounding interest. So again, coming back, the point is, it's, by the time you hear this, it's going to be November 2nd. Keep your budget intact. Keep your budget intact. Find out, really sit down, have a conversation with yourself and make some decisions. Do the holiday traditions differently this year. I want you to commit to having a different tradition. Back in the days when I used to engage in buying gifts for Christmas, it was just my daughter and I still would only buy 4 gifts. I was never that parent that would be like, I want to buy the most amount of gifts to put under the Christmas tree so that you can feel love. No, girl, I love you every day. So back in those days, I'm going to give you this idea. What I would do is I would buy her 4 gifts and 4 gifts only. 1 gift is something to do, something you need, something you want, and something to read. Let me say it again. 4 gifts, something to do. That's like a craft, something creativity, something you're creating. Back in the days, maybe it was a puzzle, it was a yarn kit, something like that. So something to do, something you want, because you may want something that I've told you no 1,000 times during the year. Like, nope. So now I'm going to add it to the list. The second thing is something you want, something you need. Something you absolutely need. This is a need. This is something that is going to help you. You need this. I don't know if it's new pajamas, new shoes. I don't know, but it's something that you need. These are necessity items. Something you want, something you need, something to do, and something to read. A book. Like you got to get a book. You have to read, because as I tell my children every single day, now I have 2. So my daughter's 19 and my son will be 9 on Christmas Eve. I tell them every single day, your lifestyle and the life that you live is going to be based on what you read. And if you don't read, you're going to live a very limited life. So even when it was just my daughter and I, like 10 years ago, and before 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, this was the metric that I used. It was 4 gifts that I purchased her. And one of them was always a book. One of them was always a craft. One of the gifts was something that she wanted. And the other gift was a necessity. And so if you're thinking about making changes, if you're thinking about taking back your finances and taking back your budget during the holidays, then consider that. 4 gifts you get, and this is for kids. Like grown people, I love you all year long. I may gift you something just because I'm in a candle store, I buy you a candle. So grown people, I don't really buy gifts for you. I just don't do that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just sharing what I do, what works for me, and I live happily ever after. And if I have a friend or a relative who's offended that I don't buy them a gift for Christmas, great, you did me a favor. We ain't got to be friends no more. It's perfect, because I don't want that pressure. So this is something I want to start. I wanted to start today's show off with talking about traditions and just using that as an example of how we haven't really sat down, decide, like, did you make your own traditions or did you just flow with it? And if you're doing this with your holiday traditions, imagine how you are just following what you're told and following suit when it comes to your money. Imagine that. Like, it doesn't stop there. That was just a warm up. I just wanted you to think and connect to something that's so simple. The holidays, first of all, for Halloween, you go buy all this candy. You know you don't need all that candy. You know you don't need it, not only because of the cavities and the sugar on your teeth. Like sugar, we all have read the studies, or we know that sugar just is not good for you. High amounts of sugar, it's just not good for you. So we go into that, and then we flow into November, and then we flow into December, and then we get drunk on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. And before we know it, we're at a new year and doing the same things over and over and over again. That does not sound like the American dream to me. That doesn't sound like the American dream. And when we come back from this commercial break, I am going to also break it down to you. We're going to talk about some of the traditions and some of just the head down, tunnel vision, routine behaviors that you have been engaging in as it relates to your money and your finances. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to tie this thing all together because you know what? You will not go into 2020 the same way you went into 2019. Like, we're gearing up for 2020. And really, technically, you're already supposed to have your 2020 planned out. But if you don't worry about it. We got time. I'm going to help you with that by helping you shift your thoughts and change your thoughts. If you're just tuned in to today's show, you are listening to Hyacinth Henderson on 1210 The Man. Except when you hear the sound of my voice, it's 1210 The Man and the Whoa Man. You're listening to my show, The American Cream, where I show you, lead you, guide you how to redefine the American dream on your terms with CREAM. And CREAM stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back after this message.
Hey y'all, did you know that women reaching the age of 65 are expected to live 2.3 years longer than men?
Wow, don't I know it? My friends and I talk about it quite often. And we're also less likely than men to have additional sources of income to help supplement our retirement income beyond our retirement years, Robert.
On top of that, Linda, Social Security might not be enough to cover your retirement needs or those of a loved one after you're gone.
That's why it's so important, and we keep saying it, just to give the Henderson Financial Group a call. You have to learn about ways to help supplement that Social Security income with additional monthly income.
We can tell you how to do that. I'm Robert Henderson, certified financial planner, president of the Henderson Financial Group.
And I'm Linda V. Harris, vice president of the Henderson Financial Group.
Call us today at 305-825-1444 and let us help you get started right away. Let's talk about controlling your world. Did you know that 95% of all issues we deal with can be solved by writing a check? That's right. Only 5% can. Being able to freely write a check means you can control 95% of all your issues. So you can control your world. You know, financial independence provides that control. I believe more people could control their world. The question is, what do you believe? I'm Robert Henderson Jr., certified financial planner, the president of the Henderson Financial Group, where we specialize in helping you control your world. Call today, 305-825-1444.
Welcome to the American Cream Show, providing you insight on how to achieve the American dream with CREAM. Credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. And now, here's your host of the American Cream, Hyacinth Henderson.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me, for staying tuned. I am Hyacinth Henderson. You are listening to the American Cream radio show on 1210 The Man. I am the Whoa Man, and today we are talking about traditions that you have kind of just been thrown into and you don't even realize what it's doing for your life. Like you didn't realize that you didn't have an active, you didn't play an active part in the decision-making process. It was just something like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and we're gonna just keep going on. So during the first half of today's show, we talked about the traditions that come along with the end of the year, right? We're in November, you got traditions in November, December, after you get to December, you got January, celebrating the new year, then you roll into Valentine's Day. More traditions. We wanna talk about how these traditions affect your money, how they affect your finances, and also empowering you to make a new decision. Like at any given time, you can change your mind. You're supposed to change your mind. Don't let people shame you into changing your mind, because the people who don't change their mind are the people who are stuck and stagnant. You should be changing your mind. You should be growing and evolving. So that's what we're talking about. Now, second half of the show, we're going to get more in depth into dealing with your money and your finances. Now, think about this. Again, the name of my show is The American Cream. I also have a podcast named The American Cream. And CREAM stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. But the important thing about The American Cream is that within the space that we connect, I show you how to redefine the American dream on your terms. Because I understand that most of us, we didn't do it on our terms. So as we think about just the cycle of life, right? And as we're born and raised and as we're, told to do things, let's go all the way back to primary school. So primary school, elementary school, middle school, high school, let's go back to these years. Now, if you think about it, most people are born, like parents are all excited. Yes, we have a baby coming. You get through the phase of, someone feeding you and changing your diaper. And then before you know it, now you're like, dang, I got to change, I got to use the bathroom on my own. Nobody's feeding me anymore. People don't want to pick me up anymore. This was all just so fun, but life happens fast. Now, just less than 2 years ago, they were happy to do this, and now they don't want to do it anymore. So it happens just so quickly. And before you know it, now you're in school. Okay, boom, you're in elementary school. You pass kindergarten, you go from coloring one day and doing ABCs to algebra and trigonometry. And it seems like it happens so quickly. And as you're doing this, most people don't really realize what's happening. We are, again, head down, tunnel vision, feet focused, moving forward, because that is what our caregivers, our family members, our parents, whoever is telling us to do. They're telling us, hey, not changing your diaper anymore. You must be potty trained by age 2. Hey, you can't use a pacifier anymore. You can't use a bottle. You must do this. And then it goes from you no more coloring. Now you must write. And after you write, now you must learn algebra. So you go through this system. And finally, you get to high school. And high school is where the pressure, I think, really starts to come in, right? People start, your parents, your tribe, whatever you want to call them, just call them your tribe instead of calling the people. Your tribe of people who are raising you and influencing your life at this time starts to drop little hints. They're like, yo, I know that I was feeding you and carrying you and changing your diaper, and then life happened fast, and then you had to do all that on your own, and you really had to learn math and things like that. But now I want you to know that you only have a few more years left, because now that you're in high school, and when you leave high school, you are getting out of my house and you are going to college. You're getting out of my house and you're going to college, right? And so as a kid, depends on when your tribe starts having this conversation with you. As a 14, 15, 13-year-old kid, maybe 17, 18, maybe you don't have this conversation in advance. Maybe, just one day you're thinking you're having a ball and life's great. And one day they're like, boom, when you hit 18, you got to get out of here. Like, there are two conversations. There may be the conversation about going to college and leaving that way, or the conversation of, I don't know where you're going, but you got to get up out of my house. Generally, that's how it works, at least in my community. And I do take issue with these two options, because I don't believe that parents should be so eager to boot their children, their 18-year-old children, out of the house just because they've graduated from high school, when it is a hard fact that most of the parents, most of the adults that they can't even survive on their own. They're barely paying their rent on their mortgage. They're barely paying their bills, but they are following tradition and saying, hey, because you're 18, you got to get up out of here. Instead of using logic and thinking and saying, whoa, who says I got to kick my kid out at 18? Who says I have to force him to go to college at 18 when I'm like 40, 50, and I'm barely making ends meet? Why would I do that to them? But again, it's a tradition and things. So this is why we started the show talking about and speaking about the holiday traditions, because these are things that we don't realize what's going on and the impact that it's having. So boom, here it is. You're like 18, you're ready to graduate high school, and your parents have already told you, you need to either get out of my house and go live on your own, or you need to go to college. Let's say you choose the college option, right? That's the American dream. The American dream says when you leave high school, you must then go to the university. You must go and continue your education, and you must pay a lot of money to do it. And don't worry, young lad or young girl, we know that you don't have a lot of money. We know that you yourself, your 18-year-old self, you can't really afford it, and you don't really know. You just really learn how to use the bathroom and wipe your butt properly. But what we're going to do is we're going to have you sign on this dotted line. Although you don't know what you want to do with your life, for sure, we're going to give you a loan. A loan? Yes, we're going to give you hundreds of thousands or thousands of hundreds of dollars to pay for your education. And we're thinking, for me, you would do all that for me? Yes, of course, because you must continue the tradition and do what we're telling you to do. And that is, guess what? Go to high school. After you go to high school, then go to college. And this is where it begins. This is where you start evaluating, like reevaluating, like, you know what, did I ask to be here? Or it was like, was this a wild night that my parents decided to be here, decided to bring me here? Were they really thinking this through? Because they don't have a college savings plans for me. They don't have no money for me, but they're telling me I got to go to college. And now these people are telling me to sign my name. Boom, check it out, sign my name. Enter the debt conversation. Dun, 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 debt. So 18, 17, just learning how to wipe your butt good, don't really know what you want to do, and you are signing your name on the dotted line for debt. Why? Because it's the American way. It's the American dream. That's what they tell you to do. But here's what you don't think about. You don't think about until years later how you are going to pay this debt back. It's like, wait a minute, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt, and a company is paying me $45,000 a year. How am I going to make that happen? You don't think about that in that moment. You only think about it after it's happened, after you've already signed your name on the dotted line. And let me tell you how I know you don't think about it. I got an email the other day. I was traveling back from Atlanta. We went to Atlanta, Mr. Henderson and Tavares, my junior advisor. We went to Atlanta to do 3 days of workshops and seminars talking about money. Like, people wanted to hear us talk about money. We teamed up with an accountant, and that's what we did. So we went for 3 days to Atlanta, talked about money, and coming back from the airport, through the airport, I got an email, and the email was from a lady I didn't know. It was a website inquiry. And she said, hi, I recently graduated with my master's degree, and I have student loans, and I don't know how I'm going to pay for these student loans. And I need to come up with a plan because I need to start paying them back. And so I thought, oh, this is interesting. So I called her, and we had a conversation. And during the conversation, she revealed that she had part of her loans were private loans that her parents had co-signed for, and another part of her loans were federal student loans. And she needs to start paying these loans back. And she has a master's degree, and she earns about $40,000. She loves her job. She loves what she does. She loves where she works. She got a new job. She relocated here. She wasn't complaining. She was just like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this back. And I'm thinking, dang, we didn't have a plan for this. Like, we didn't think about, and she has over $100,000 in student loan debt. We didn't think about this before we signed our name on the dotted line. No. You know why we didn't think about this? Because we're used to following the tradition. The tradition that says, graduate high school, get out of my house, and go to college. And so you sign your name on debt. And what do you do after you graduate from college? You graduate from college, and then now you're like, whoo, I'm accomplished. I did something. Let me go treat myself. And how do you treat yourself? Most people go buy a new ride. You want to buy a new car because you want to let everybody know that you have arrived. Like, yes, I was eating ramen noodles and on public transportation when I was in college, but now that I have that degree and those student loans, now I am balling. Now I'm driving a new car, a new shiny new ride. And I didn't pay for it, but what did I do? Sign my name on the dotted line. I signed my name on the dotted line, and they financed the car for me. What is that? More debt. So now here it is again. Before you knew it, like you just came out of the womb, they were feeding you. One day they said, boom, we're not feeding you no more. They were changing you. One day they said, boom, we're not changing your pamper anymore. You got to wipe your own butt. To going to school, going to college, signing your name, now you're buying a car. So you got student loan debt, you got car loan debt. And now you're working at a job paying you far less than what your student loan debt and your car loan debt equals. I want to say that again. Now you're working at a job. You are working, and your annual salary, 9 times out of 10, especially if you are a new college graduate, is less than your debt. You have just entered the cycle. You are now in the pool of quicksand and you are sinking fast and you don't even realize it. And people are around you, and guess what? You're reaching your hands out like, hey, y'all help me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? They sinking too. They are sinking too. They did the same thing that you did. They went to college, got all these student loans. They're in debt. They treated themselves, and I'm air quoting the word treat, because people, I deserve it. I'm going to treat myself. When you go and you accumulate more debt, you aren't treating yourself. You're treating the creditor. You're not treating yourself. Oh, understand that. Like, you really got to get that. So you got the student loans, then you got the car loan. The job ain't paying you. Career, if you're lucky enough to land an occupation in your area of expertise that where you got your degree, great. But 9 times out of 10, they are paying you less than the amount of debt that you owe. So if you owe $150,000, $200,000, 9 times out of 10, your first job out of college is not paying you at least $150,000 annually. They're just not. They're paying you less than that. You're a newbie. You got to get some experience. We'll talk about that another show though. So now you're like, okay, you enter the cycle. You're in the cycle. You're in quicksand, and you're like, if I could just get up. But every time you try to take 1 step forward, you take 2 steps back. How do you take 2 steps back? You accumulate more debt. And I am saying it to you in this manner so that you can get it and get it good. Because it seems like it's just a tradition. It seems like, oh, this is what they tell us to do, but it's deeper than that. It is so much deeper than that you have to make a change. So after you go to college and after you buy the car, then what do? You want to get married, right? And you want to get married. You already don't got no money. You don't have any money. When I say you don't got no money, you don't have any money. What I mean by that is the odds of you actually saving or preparing to pay for your wedding cash are slim to none, because you got this student loan debt, because now you have this car loan debt. And now since you graduated and you're out of your parents' house, they've been told you had to get out. Remember, they didn't play that. 18, you got to go. You just got to go. That's the way my parents did it. That's the way we're going to do it. That's a tradition that they're following that don't make no sense. So now you're like, okay, I got to get an apartment. I have to get somewhere to live. So now you have things like rent to pay. You got to pay your own groceries. You have to buy lotion. And let me explain to you, most people don't realize how expensive lotion is until they have to buy it. Right? And I'm talking about, when I say most people, I have evidence. I'm talking about my 19-year-old daughter who has taken to only lotioning the parts of her body that shows. And I'm asking her, Kyla, why are you doing this? Oh, because, we run out of lotion too quickly. Well, Kyla, why don't you just go buy more lotion? Crickets. Oh, you don't want to buy lotion because it's $6 and you don't want to use your $6, but you want to use my money. Anyway, the point is, you don't really realize how much these expenses are until you're on your own. So when it comes time for you to get married, you can bet your funky Watootsie that you're not paying for this wedding cash. What are you going to do? Finance it. You're going to finance it. You know why? Because that's what the average American does. That's the tradition. You want to get married? You want to have white doves? You want to do all this fancy stuff that people do, and now with social media, you want to be able to post it? No problem. Let me check your credit. We're going to finance it for you. Take out a $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 loan so that you can have a 4-hour party for people to come and eat your food and drink your liquor. Like, really, that's what it is. And so that's what you do. So then what is that? More debt. And then after you get married, what happens? Somebody want a kid. Like, most people want kids. There may be a few who are like, no, I don't want a kid. No. But somebody wants a kid. Kids are expensive. More debt. What do you do now? Gotta buy a house. Not because you're ready to buy a house, not because you have been financially responsible, not because you are managing your debt in such a way, not because your savings and your investments are working for you and you're actually out of the quicksand, you're no longer sinking. That's not why you want to buy a house. You want to buy a house because you graduated from college, you bought your first car, you got married, you had a 4-hour wedding that was very expensive, and now you want to buy a house because that's what tradition tells you to do. And guess what? You don't have the cash to buy a house. So what do? You accumulate more debt. The American dream was sold and told to you. Most people did not have the opportunity or did not realize that they had the opportunity and the power to redefine the American dream. That's what we're doing here today. That's why we're having this conversation. Like, really, what is it about? It's about you. It's about you taking back your power. It's about you saying, wait a minute, this just don't make no sense. Like, this doesn't make logical sense because now here I am on a cycle. I'm on the hamster wheel of lack. You end up on the hamster wheel of lack, and just where are you running? You're running around in circles. Work, pay bills. And you know what they tell you? Your tribe, the same tribe, honey, the same tribe who was so happy for you to be here. Oh my God, baby shower. We're feeding you food. You can eat your first food. Then really quickly feed yourself, wipe your own butt, go to college and get out of my house. See how fast that happened? That same tribe tells you, don't worry about it. Keep going, because when you get to retirement, then you can enjoy your life. Then you can live. Then you can travel. And you're thinking, how is that going to happen when I could barely save for retirement? Like, I can barely pay my bills now. How am I going to save for retirement? See what I mean? So what I want you to think about is the common denominator in this story that I just told you, in this picture that I just painted, is debt. So what should you be doing now? As you're listening to the sound of my voice, as you're listening to Hyacinth Henderson on the American Cream radio show on 1210 The Man with the Woe, you should be thinking about your debt. Yes, nobody wants to think about their debt because they just feel like it's going to go away on its own. But you should right now say, you know what, I'm going to take charge and I want to think about my debt. That means I'm going to pull out my credit card statements. I'm going to pull out my bank statements. I'm going to do whatever I need to do, pull out everything so that I can tally up my debt. I want to know what the interest rates are. Most people, you have a credit card and I ask you what the interest rate is, you don't know what it is. When you tell me you don't know what the interest rate is, you are telling me that you don't know how much free money you're giving away. That's what you're saying, because interest is money that you're paying to the credit card company or to the creditor. So if you don't know your interest rates, you are saying I am big Willie balling in such a way that I don't even have to know how much I'm giving away every month. It doesn't matter. As long as I pay the minimum payment, then I'm good. That stops today. Nope, I won't have it. Not on my watch. Today, we are talking about debt. Your homework is, what is my debt? Because I followed these traditions. I've been living the American dream and it's starting to feel like a nightmare. So what do I need to do? Total up your debt. And then come up with a debt elimination plan. That is one of the things that I am most excited about. When I get calls, when people talk about debt and they actually say the word, yo, I need some help, I'm in debt. I'm like, yes, we have a plan for you. We are a full service financial planning firm. We are not all about the money. Money is not our motivation. Service is our motivation. Helping clients get to financial freedom is our motivation. And because that is our motivation, we understand that debt has to be a part of the conversation. We're not the financial advisor and the financial planner who's going to say, well, you don't meet our minimum investable assets amount, so you got to go somewhere else. We can't help you. We're the financial planning firm that says, listen, we got to get this debt under control and eliminate it, because we don't want you giving out free money anymore. We want you to wake up and say, you know what? They told me to do it this way. I realize it's not working for me. I may be in over my head, but because I'm still here, because I'm still listening to the sound of Hyacinth's voice, it's not done yet. And because it's not done yet, I need some help. You all please help me eliminate my debt. And we have such a debt elimination program that actually allows you to do two things at one time. I call it a twofer. It's a debt elimination program that allows you not only to eliminate your debt, but it also allows you to stockpile your cash. It allows you to save your money. Why is that important? It's always important for you to pay yourself first. I know you probably never heard that term before, or by the time you were introduced to the term of paying yourself first, you probably like, what are you talking about? I'm paying everybody else that I couldn't even dare dream to think about paying myself first. Well, with this debt elimination program that we use, we do both. We allow you to eliminate your debt and save some of your money, stockpile your money, because if something happens to you tomorrow, you need to be able to have access to cash. And even if it doesn't, you should want to pay yourself first. Just like when you're on an airplane, what do they tell you? In case of an event of an emergency, if this plane goes down, I know you love the people next to you. Like, I know you love them, but you have got to put on your oxygen mask first. Same thing when it comes to your money and your finances. Like, I know you feel like, UVerse and DirecTV, you got to have your NFL ticket and stuff. Like, they're more important. You love that NFL ticket. But before you pay for that NFL ticket, pay yourself first. Like, I know that you want that fancy sports car. You just got to have it and you love it so much. But just pretend like we're on an airplane. We're on an airplane and you got to put your mask on first. And before you get that fancy sports car or before you pay those bills or whatever, pay yourself first. So you paying yourself first, in other words, saving, putting some money aside for you, building your emergency fund, and then rolling into investments, it is not an option. It's a necessity. Because if this thing goes down and you don't have your oxygen mask on first, guess who's dead? You. You out of gas. How does that translate? If the economy goes to pits, if changes start to happen, and we're anticipating them starting to happen soon, I'm not trying to scare y'all, but I say it all the time, you got to prepare. If changes start to happen and you don't have no money, you haven't been paying yourself first, what are you going to do? How are you going to live? How are you going to survive? Do you have 6 months of savings of living expenses, an emergency fund stockpiled? So as we eliminate debt, we also show you how to save for yourself as well. So we do both. It's not just about debt elimination. I'm not going to tell you to pay everybody else and not pay yourself. But this is important. It's important because you need to do better. You're still here. And this is what we're committed to doing. At the Henderson Financial Group, we are a full service financial planning firm with a more than qualified staff, team of advisors, of agents, and support staff. Check out our website. If you haven't visited yet, check out our website. It's www.thehendersonfinancialgroup.com. Also, my personal website is www.hyacinthhenderson.com. Hyacinth is spelled like the flower. Hyacinth, Hyacinth, Henderson, Henderson. You can also find me on all social media platforms. That's LinkedIn, that's Facebook, and I do have a Facebook Hyacinth Henderson page. So my personal page, I believe I have 5,000 friends. Don't worry, I don't know all these people. But my business page is where I post, more business related content. It's under Hyacinth Henderson. Twitter, Instagram, wherever, Hyacinth Henderson. I'm not using, a fake name. Okay, so what we've been talking about today, if you're just joining me, you're listening to 1210 The Man. By now, you should know when you hear my voice, I'm not a man, I'm a woman. And I like it here. You guys keep it cold here. I got to put on my sweatshirt. I love sweatshirts. So I get to come in the studio, put on my sweatshirt over my business attire and feel very comfortable. And so I'm now here, the woman on the man, and it feels good here. And the name of my show is The American Cream. And The American Cream stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. But get this, the focus and the purpose of the American Cream show is to show you how to redefine the American dream on your terms. They have to be your terms, because if it's not on your terms, then you get stuck in the cycle of following traditions. And I just gave you the example. I gave you a couple of examples. I gave you the examples of how the holiday traditions will leave you in a space of like, first of all, not only will you be spending all of your money doing things that you don't want to do, sitting there, you'd rather be somewhere else, but now you're at Christmas breakfast or Thanksgiving dinner just because the family says you have to. Not only are you doing those things that you don't want to do, but can we talk about the health? Like, we now know that There's numerous studies, we're eating more plants, we're eating healthier, less sugar and things like that. But when the holidays come around, we generally don't do that. So I just gave you that example. The first half of the show was it full of examples of how those traditions are keeping you behind the 8 ball. And the second half of the show, I took you from child. They wanted you so bad. They wanted a baby. They wanted to take maternity pictures. They had a baby shower. They had everybody come bring you gifts. They were so excited for you to eat your first food, like a little puree, little pea puree. They were so excited for that. And then before you knew it, life happened fast. Like after that, that was a short period of time. And then after that, they were like, yo, you got to use the potty by yourself. Like, we're tired of wiping your butt. You got to wipe your own butt. And then after that, it was like, okay, boom, we're tired of wiping your butt. Now you got to go to school. You got to learn this. You got to get straight A's. You got to do this, this, and this, and this. And then go to college. And then start the debt cycle. Traditions, man. It's not logic. Why? Why do we have to do that? Why do I have to be rushed off of the porch to go to college, to sign my name on a dotted line, to sign and be committed to all of this debt, and then go buy a car, more debt, and then go get married and finance the wedding, and then go buy a house? And I'm not buying a rental property or an investment property because I want to buy a house so that I can tell everybody that I've arrived. Because we have been brainwashed to think that a sign of you arriving is you buying a house. Meanwhile, you got debt. You can't even think about taking a vacation. Like, you can't even think about retirement and retiring comfortably. If you do think about retirement, what the average American does is, instead of retiring and having the time of their life, they're like, dang, I'm going into retirement. Now I got to cut back. Well, why? Like, let's think about this. You have sacrificed all your life, and now that you're in retirement, you got to cut back? Well, when are you going to live? Oh, when you get to heaven? Is that when you're going to live? Like, we're not going to talk about that today, but just a little question I have. If everybody is in heaven, I always want to know what kind of furniture they have in there. Like the people who, died in the 70s, are they wearing 70s clothes? And, do they have couches with plastic on them? Someone who, passed away yesterday, are they wearing, clothes from 2019? Like, how does that work? I don't know, but we'll talk about that another day. Don't call me on that one. But the point is, like, when are you going to live? This is why you cannot, you shall not, you should not, you cannot, no more, no longer follow the traditional American dream. It's not yours. I don't care what color skin you got. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your gender is. If you are following the traditional American dream and doing things and based on tradition and based on what the masses are telling you to do, you are behind the 8 ball, sugar. You're never going to win. It is only when you take a stand and say, I no longer want to be an average American. It's only when you take a stand and say, I want to redefine the American dream on my terms, that you will begin to live the life that you are deserving of. It's only when those two things happen. All right, I'm nearing the end of my time. It has been a pleasure and an honor, as always. I love it here. As I told you, I'm very comfortable now. Look me up on the internet. I'll be back next week. If you are old school and you prefer to actually call the office instead of going online, I can dig that too. Give us a call, 305-825-1444. Make sure you let my lovely receptionist know that you heard me on the radio and you're calling in response to that. We don't charge for consultations, just to have a conversation. I'd love to talk to you. We're going to talk. We're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to help you and show you what you need to do so that you can make that shift. You can make that shift to abundance, and out of a poverty mindset into an abundance mindset. Again, you've been listening to the American Cream Show. I'm your host, Hyacinth Henderson. As always, it's a pleasure and an honor. Until next week, peace, peace, peace. Thank you.
You've been listening to the American Cream Podcast, the #1 audio production show for people who want to achieve the American dream with cream. Love this episode of the American Cream? Head over to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. For free resources and materials, go to theamericancreampodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Linda V. Harris, Vice President of the Henderson Financial Group, and I want to share a story with you. Now, this is not my story. I did not make it up. It is coming directly from the National Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I want to talk about what's going to happen to 100 of us by the age of 65. Now, 29 of us will be dead and 71 of us will still be alive. Of the 71 of us that are still living, we're comprised of the following. 52 of us are directly dependent upon the government. And if we're not dependent upon the government, it simply means we've given up and we're homeless or living on the streets, okay? 14 of us are still working, and we always will be because we don't have any family at all. So we will continue to work until we die. 3 of us will be financially independent. And when I say financially independent, I mean we don't need any support from anyone. It means our wealth grows and will continue to grow as we receive comfortable income from our assets. The remaining 2 of us will become wealthy. And what I mean by wealthy is it's defined as a net worth of at least $5 million plus. The question is, where do you fit in this story? If you want to be part of the 5% and not the 95%, give us a call at the Henderson Financial Group, 305-825-1444, and tell us you want to talk about the 100-man story.
You know, Linda, people have worked very hard all their entire lives to save what they thought was enough for retirement.
Robert, what is enough? Especially in today's volatile stock market, so many people are concerned that they just may not have enough to retire. So what can they do?
You know, all it really takes is sitting down with someone at the Henderson Financial Group to first educate you and then discuss your personal goals and objectives and working out a plan to help you succeed.
I agree. I'm Linda V. Harris, Vice President of the Henderson Financial Group and a retirement planning specialist.
And I'm Robert Henderson Jr., Certified Financial Planner, the President of the Henderson Financial Group.
What I love about us at the Henderson Financial Group, Robert, is we've helped so many people just like you, just like our listening audience, prepare for a successful and prosperous retirement.
Don't wait. Call our office today at 305-825-1444, and you'll be glad you did.